this evening our webinar on the 2020 MPA Outreach and Education Small Grants Program. I might just wait one more minute to see if other people join. It looks like we have a small group this evening. So let's just wait one more minute and then I'll get started. Okay, let's get started. So again, welcome and thank you for joining us this evening for our webinar on the MPA Outreach and Education Small Grants Program. I first would like to let you know that we're recording this webinar and we'll be posting it on the OPC website. And I also just wanted to introduce myself. So I'm Tegan Hoffman, and Executive Director of Coastal Quest, and I also wanted to introduce Scott Chateau as well from OPC. Scott, do you want to say hi?
So I'm the current Sea Grant Fellow working on MPAs at the Ocean Protection Council, and I am the current project manager for this this small grants program along with Tegan. So I am happy that you guys are here and really excited to see what project ideas you come up with. And as we go along, you know, if you have questions throughout the process of writing your grant proposal about more of this kind of state side things like state priorities, things like that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And my contact info will be at the end of this presentation. Thanks, Tegan.
Great. So I just wanted to let you know that during the presentation, I would ask that you mute yourself and then unmute yourself if you have a question during our Q&A. We have two kind of breaks in the presentation where we'll have opportunity to answer questions. But in the meantime, it looks like everybody is on mute, and you can just remember to unmute yourself. So I think that's all of our business here, and we'll get started. Okay, so our objectives of the webinar are really to provide a deeper understanding of the goals and structure of the Small Grants Program, and specifically the request for proposal application process. So in the webinar, I'll be going over a number of different items to provide information on the program as well as the actual RFP. And we'll talk about eligibility requirements. We'll provide some potential project ideas, and then provide an overview of the proposal scoring criteria and timeline. And then we'll have opportunity for Q&A, and then we'll actually talk about the application process and the proposal requirements, and then again we'll have time for Q&A. So just in terms of what we'll be presenting this evening, we'll first talk about the grant program, and then the project and applicant eligibility, and then the scoring and criteria involved in the scoring, our timeline, and then specifically the SOAR application process, which is an online system for applying to the RFP, and then we'll have questions. Okay, so the program overview. So the main goal of the program is to improve compliance of MPA regulations statewide through outreach and education. And the objectives of the program are, just a second, something popped up on my screen there. Sorry about that. The objectives of the program are to provide significant value for the state through replicable methods, and also increase local capacity through project implementation and technical assistance, and also provide some capacity building for underserved communities using private matching funds. And so that's kind of a little bit higher level set of objectives that Coastal Quest has with the state, where we're, looking for projects to fund that are replicable, but we're also, through some of the private match, able to support communities in their implementation and also the application process. And we're able to match state dollars with some private funds. We'll be awarding up to 25 small grants ranging from $25,000 to $100,000, covering up to an 18-month time frame. And essentially, this funding is coming to Coastal Quest from the Ocean Protection Council, and Coastal Quest is administering the Small Grants Program, which is from the Once Through Cooling Interim Mitigation Program, and it is a competitive process, as you know, and we have a steering committee that will be reviewing the proposals and scoring them, and then we'll be ranking them and awarding. And so we'll be supporting projects that increase marine life associated with the state's marine protected areas in the geographic region of the Once Through Cooling facilities. And more specifically, these grants will help achieve a main goal aligned with the Once Through Cooling program, which is to increase outreach and education to improve compliance with MPA regulations statewide. And I think I'll pause there and let Scott speak and see if you want to add anything. I think you have to unmute yourself, Scott. There you go.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just add that I think that was pretty comprehensive. But I'll just add that the Once Through Cooling funding is supposed to go towards supporting an increase in marine life associated with the geographic region of the OTC facilities, but that is not really the main focus of this grant. You don't need to go out and prove that whatever project you do will actually increase marine life and shows an increase in marine life. These projects are supposed to be kind of general outreach and education projects that help increase compliance with MPAs overall. And through that, the argument is made, increased compliance will eventually help increase marine life within those MPAs around those facilities. So going out and doing these outreach and education projects and coming up with an argument as to why these could help increase compliance is kind of the main goal of these. And I encourage you guys to be creative when you're thinking about these, and I think we'll go into some project ideas in a little bit, but I think that's it, Tegan.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, some desired, these are just examples and does not mean they'll be automatically funded, but some desired outcomes from the request for proposals and the grants that we're looking for are increased ocean stewardship, engagement, compliance, and leadership, as well as increased docent and educator capacity. We're also hoping that these outreach and education projects will reduce illegal take of marine life in MPAs and also increase diversity of stakeholders engaged, including both traditional and non-traditional audiences, as well as underserved audiences. And as Scott mentioned, we're looking that the project increase compliance and not looking to show change in marine life. So when thinking about those desired outcomes and how to measure success, which is a big part of the application process where we are asking those questions, just know that we're looking for the outreach and education impact. And then in terms of the example projects, again, these are just some ideas, but a project could be related to signage and messaging, preferably multilingual at key entry points to MPA beaches. Another project could be educator and docent training manuals and programs. training workshops and programs for state employees, docents, and educators, including busing of certain target audiences. And lastly, public community awareness events for community members of all ages. And I would just encourage you to look at the RFP and the links on the OPC website, where there's a needs assessment that was done on outreach and education that will help highlight the need and rationale for developing a new project, as well as two websites that have links of already created outreach and education materials that already exist and can be updated or made relevant to a particular region, but also make sure that it already, that what is being proposed is adding value and additional need outlined. In terms of ineligible projects, so projects that are not eligible for funding are projects requesting funding to implement mitigation projects that an agency, organization, or company is mandated to complete. Projects focused only on planning, or only funding personnel, or only on purchasing equipment. So those are two that are not eligible. And then lastly, costs associated with environmental permitting are not eligible. Those are the three ineligible projects. In terms of organizations that can apply to the RFP, public agencies at the local, state, and federal level can apply, as well as public or private universities, nonprofits, for-profit entities, federally recognized tribes, and California Native tribes. And we are offering underserved communities are eligible to receive capacity building and technical assistance through our available private matching funds to help support the application process, as well as if they do receive a grant, some support in implementing that project. And then in terms of eligibility, so geographically, we're looking for projects that are statewide and could be, relevant for the entire state. And then San Diego to Big Sur and the Channel Islands is really the facilities that are adjacent to the OTC facilities. And so, that's the jurisdiction that those are in, from San Diego to Big Sur. North of Big Sur is where the OTC facilities are not found anymore, but we do have private matching funds to support a few projects in the area north of Big Sur, and that priority will be given to underserved communities who apply, focusing on a project in that region, which is north of Big Sur. So the proposal scoring criteria is fairly simple, in the sense that we've mapped out points and some categories, and we've explained those in the proposal, and then you'll see them questions that match to those sections in the proposal for applicants to respond to. And we've broken it down into a few different categories. It's going to be out of 100 points, and we're asking for a big chunk of points going to the first item, which is clarity and articulation of the approach. So looking for the project description, goals, some measures, SMART measures, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound objectives that are clear and well-developed and realistic, and outlines a project that outlines a logical approach with evidence of the types of actions that will likely succeed. The next category is alignment and sustainability, and applicant shows relevance to the Once Through Cooling Program Award guidelines for outreach and education priorities, as well as the other resources that are outlined in the RFP, such as the California MPA Education and Outreach Needs Assessment, and also speaks to the guidance in the California MPA Network Outreach and Education Guide, as well as the needs mapped out in the MPA Statewide Leadership Team Work Plan. And then, as I mentioned before, there are 2 websites with listings and inventory of past outreach and education materials to consider as well. Impact is the criteria receiving the largest amount of points. And so in this area, we're looking for applications that include a clear definition of project success that's thoughtfully developed with realistic outcomes and project outputs and impacts. And the proposal needs to document the baseline condition and outline the potential desired change and how it will show progress over time as well. The next category is time effectiveness and project management. And here we are looking for the project task list, timelines, descriptions of risk and mitigation strategies that show feasibility of completing the outlined tasks in a timely manner, as well as project staffing is appropriately experienced and possesses the skills needed to successfully complete the project. We're then wanting some input on interactive opportunities around partnership and partners that are engaged in the project, and kind of identifying actions to communicate more broadly with the broader community and how that will be done. The next category is cost effectiveness, which is just, putting together a budget that's appropriate for the project described. And then completeness is, looking at the application being complete. And then we do have an extra credit category where we're looking for projects that might have a ripple effect and provide tools or knowledge to others in the broader community, and advancing the field into new areas or building collaborations with other entities. So our timeline is, going fast here. We released the RFP on December 13th. We are expecting to receive all proposals January 27th with a due date of 5 p.m. sharp Pacific time. We will be announcing awards April 1st, and then with the goal of having the grant agreements all in place and project implementation beginning by June 1st. And the project ending at the latest December 1st, 2021. So I'm going to pause here and see if we have any questions that we can answer about the purpose of the program and more of the, the content of the proposal and approach before we get into the specifics of the proposal submission process. So raise your hand on the Zoom participant list, and I can call on you, and you'll need to unmute yourself. Does anyone have a question? Peggy? Okay, Peggy, how about you unmute yourself and you ask a question first?
Yeah, and maybe you're going to be covering this, but on the impact, I mean, I can talk to you a little bit about what we're thinking, but we've done something similar, but we want to expand it and do it throughout the state, up and down the coast. We do a lot of the coast already, but a lot of it's an educational outreach piece. But how do we measure? I didn't know if you guys could give me ideas how you measure the impact. I mean, before, when we first started, we had like questionnaires for the different entities that we distributed these things to, to get a feedback. But a lot of it we don't really know, other than we know we had increased calls for whales that were entangled because that was included in the piece.
Well, I mean, we do outline in the request for some proposals some example metrics for you to consider. I don't know if you saw that in the in the PDF document of the proposal. And, there are some simple ways to measure impact where you can do some surveys before and after, or some online surveys, or I'm not sure what your program is, but you could do that with people who are participating. And then, but if you need more specific guidance, we could maybe follow up and have a conversation on the phone. Scott, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of ways to measure impact, like Tegan was saying, and, if we just give some examples in the RFP, but we can also talk to you more in depth and come up with better ways to measure impact for your specific project if doing surveys or something else just isn't the right fit for it. But also, if you have an idea of how you can measure impact in a better way for your project, include that in the proposal as well. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but feel free to reach out to either Tegan or myself, and we can help with that.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, the next person I'll call on is Ben. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi, thanks so much. I was just curious, for the sake of sharing with collaborators, will the slides from this presentation be available somewhere? Or is it just the video that you're posting?
Just the video is what we're posting.
Okay.
But we could, it wouldn't be hard to make the slides available as a PDF on the website as well.
I think we could definitely put the slides up on the website, no problem. Yeah, I think that's a really easy thing to do, for sure.
Yeah, so we can do that.
Thank you so much. That'd be helpful as well. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I plan on uploading this recording, and then I'll also upload a PDF of the presentation itself tomorrow on the OPC website.
Okay, I'll send that to you tomorrow morning.
Great.
Okay. Ben, if you could just go on mute, I'll call on Samantha. Do you have a question?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I was wondering, aside from parts of outreach and education, would you guys fund basic funding for like publication of like reports for scientific journals in addition to like outreach part?
Scott, do you want to answer that? It doesn't sound like it.
I don't think we could fund something if that was the sole purpose of the grant, of the proposal. I don't know. I think I'd have to learn more about your specific project, but just hearing that on the phone, I don't think that aligns with what we can actually fund. What do you feel about that, Tegan?
Yeah, I would just add that the main focus is on the outreach and education, and if there was a tiny piece that was a publication highlighting the outcome of this project to a certain target audience that you're trying to reach and share, this addresses kind of the scalability, extra credit points, then maybe an article publication makes sense. But does that make sense? It's related to the impact and kind of as a case study or showing the results of the grant that is being implemented. So I think that would need to be the focus. And of course, the work would need to be about increasing compliance and the MPAs and the outreach and education for that. But happy again to follow up with a discussion to learn more specifics about what you're proposing as we're making some assumptions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm looking down the list. I don't see any other hands raised. So if not, I will move on to the proposal submission process, okay? Okay, so proposals must be completed online through the California Natural Resource Agency System for Online Application Review by January 27th, 2020 at 5 p.m. We're using the SOAR system, and so please note that it is an internet-based system. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's recommended that you use a PC with an Internet Explorer 6.0 or higher. And then there's some notes about what, it's not compatible with non-PC products or other web browsers, that we recommend that you disable pop-up blocking software, and you need to save your work often. The system will time out after 60 minutes of activity. So not inactivity, but activity. So if you're drafting and inserting your answers, you need to save it while you're moving forward. So the applications must be completed through the following steps. First, carefully review the RFP and the Once Through Cooling Program's award guidelines. You need to respond to all questions online in the SOAR system. And all the questions on the SOAR online application can also be found in the program summary below that we've provided, and then you need to download 2 relevant templates, the task list and timeline template, as well as the budget template from the program webpage, and complete them, and then upload them as attachments in the SOAR online system using the electronic file naming convention provided in the application checklist. And then the 4th step is to upload any other supplemental information as attachments. And finally, use the application checklist as available on the program webpage to ensure completion of all of the application components. So those are the steps. So now I'm going to show you what the SOAR system looks like for those of you who haven't created a login yet and started that process. So here you've logged in and created an account, and you're in the main menu, and you want to click on Start a New Application, okay? And then you click on that, and then you're going to get this pop-up, which is called the System Disclosure, and you're going to check a number of items here in the check boxes. You're going to check the use web browser, save work often, and disable the blocking software, okay? And then you need to select what type of organization you are that's submitting. Are you the submitting organization, which most people will be in option 1, or others you are submitting on behalf of another organization. So maybe you're a physical sponsor submitting for a startup entity or something like that. Okay, so then once you've done that, you then get moved to the next page, which is the active RFPs, and you're going to press the Marine Protected Areas Outreach and Education Small Grant Program link there, and then you're going to press Continue to the application. And then you're in now the application tabs where you will be submitting your responses to the questions. So here is the general information where you'll, oops, sorry, I went too quickly. Well, you'll be entering your project title, the description, as well as the project location. Next, you'll be going to the project budget. Note this is not where you put the attachment of the budget, but this is just the project budget total. And then you need to check this box around the once through cooling interim mitigation program and that you're applying. And then here is where you need to identify the main points of contact for the grant, the director and project manager. And then need to enter some other information about the districts that your organization is located in. And then more information around contacts and partners. And then here's the main RFP questionnaire where you'll have questions, general information, so, project location, where is it located, period of time of the project, does your project serve an underserved community? Then there's some questions around the background and history of the project, which has a number of questions on how and why this project was developed, what is the need for the project, is the project new or building a previous project, and how, if this project is ongoing, how long was it established, etc. Then we're getting into the categories, and again, they match our criteria. So here we have project description. You'll see the clarity and articulation section here. So we're looking for the project description, goals, objectives, overall approach. We're then looking for who's the target audience. We're looking for the types of programming you're proposing for those target audiences. And, there's questions for all of the different sections. So that's just an example. And the RFP, I'll just go back. The RFP in the PDF, has the whole questionnaire in it. So you might want to read over that, prepare it in a Word document so it's all ready to go, and you can just copy and paste into the source system, and you'll see that there are character limits in each of these questionnaires, which we have explained in the PDF as well. And then this is where the next tab, attachments, is where you will attach the budget and the timeline. You also will need to print and sign the full application page and upload that as well when it's completed. And so you do the budget and then the printed and signed SOAR application page and the timeline. And the application preview, this is the page where is at the end, so you can print the application, sign it, and then save it, and then go back and upload it. So that's really an overview of the SOAR online application process. And here are some contact information for myself. I can answer questions about the RFP, and if you have any requests for technical assistance. And also, Scott is available to answer questions about state priorities. Feel free to contact both of us or one of us. And then there's also a SOAR contact information for more specific questions about the SOAR system if you're having issues with it. And I will pause there and see if we have questions about SOAR and the application submission process. Peggy, do you want to unmute yourself?
Unmute.
Peggy,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
There you go.
Trying to get back to it. I had a question because I had looked over that application, and I did look at it from a Mac, but, and I started it a little bit, and it seemed to work okay, but I wasn't using Chrome or anything like that. But my question is, the latitude and longitude, if we're going to do something statewide, do we just put where we're located for that lat and long? That was a little confusing.
Yeah, that's fine. Right, Scott, just put where the organization's located, if it's statewide. I think that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, is that
Can you hear
correct?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just saying when we created the application or the proposal in the source system, we couldn't remove that option. So yeah, if your project is statewide, there is a question, one of the first questions that says indicate whether your project is statewide or not. So just for those coordinates, just put in wherever you're located or really any coordinates. It doesn't really matter if your project is statewide.
Yeah. Great. Ben?
Yeah, I was just trying to find what the word limit is or character limit is on those individual entries. Is that just, do I just log in, or you seem to indicate that they were in a PDF?
Yeah, so if you go to the OPC website, there's a link there that says, you know, the RFP, and it's a PDF of the full, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I could not find it there. Are you pretty sure it's there?
Am I sure that pretty sure that the link to the RFP is on the website? Yeah.
Yeah, but the character, you were saying that there's a character limit, and I liked your idea of pre-populating a document and then just copy, that we could share amongst the collaborators and then just copy paste into the form. And I guess I'm sorry, I just was looking for where that section by section description in the RFP that you were alluding to is located. I'm having trouble finding it. So I was looking, for instance, for the word goals, and that I saw in the SOAR online. I could not find that instance in the RFP.
Right. Okay. Well, I can, maybe what I'll do is I'll stop sharing for a minute my screen, and I can go to the website and show you on the website where it is. How's that? I can show everyone. Just a minute.
Yeah, that'd be great. I understand where the link is that you were referring to. I just, in the actual PDF that you were referencing, I could not find it. But so if you want to pull that up, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Ben, in the PDF itself of the RFP, it starts on page 6, and all of the questions are outlined there, and with character limits after the question itself. So I think that's probably what you're looking for.
Ah, perfect. I absolutely see it now. Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
I was on the wrong document.
I'm just I'm going to show everybody where that is so that everybody can see that. So here is the PDF. You can see. Can you guys see my screen, or is it what's showing up on the?
Yeah. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the link. You see the link up top, but here, page 6, 4, 5, 6. Here we go. So here is the actual proposal summary. So that's what I was referring to in the slides. And here it just lists all the character limits for every section. Okay. And here's some example metrics as well, Peggy, that you might want to look at, and the ways we were thinking about it in terms of, you know, metric categories like reaction, learning, behavior, results, and then some example metrics. And again, if you have questions and you want to talk about methods for that, we can help you. And then anyway, it keeps going on. So there you go. Any other questions? Let me bring up my, I don't see any other questions from the group. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen again and bring back up the presentation. Let's see. And just leave you with the information about our contact information if there's no other questions. and we finished a lot faster because we have such a small group tonight than we did on our first call. So thank you everyone for your questions, participation, and you know, please don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything. Peggy, did you have one last question?
Yes. You said you would be having this up on the website. Do you already have the one that you did in December up on the website that we could watch as well?
Yes, that webinar is already, the recording is on the website already. And yeah, and then we'll post this one tomorrow.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anything else? Okay, so we'll be posting we'll add in a PDF of these slides as well as the full webinar recording from tonight onto the website tomorrow, and then you feel free to listen to the December webinar. If you have any you know, questions, please don't hesitate to call me or contact me over email, set up a call, or Scott, or both of us. Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone. And Scott, do you want to add any final remarks?
I don't think so. Just thanks for joining everyone, and I look forward to looking at your proposals. And thanks for hosting us, Megan.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you everyone for participating, and thank you Ocean Protection Council for your support.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.